It's my pleasure this morning just to offer a few brief comments, and I too will need some time management because I'm going to probably be brief and be off before my time is allotted. But I'd like to just start with reiterating what you see in front of you as the theme for this conference: taller, safer, stronger. I like that. It rings very true, and I think it's very appropriate as a theme to think about those three words. I was asked earlier this week by some people at CKNW about how tall can these tower cranes go as these buildings in our city continue to go taller and taller and taller. And so I think that's important to think about. And what are the unique safety implications of tower cranes going taller and taller and taller? So it does ring true. It rang true for me, and I think we need to keep coming back to thinking of those three words: taller, safer, stronger. As you know, and I don't need to tell you because you're in the business and I only look at it from a distance, as you know, tower cranes are everywhere in this province. You can't drive around any city, certainly in the Lower Mainland. The Greater Vancouver area is dotted with tower cranes of various sizes and configurations. Tower cranes dot the skyline at night, in the day. The public sees them on a regular basis. There are about 300 tower cranes operating throughout the province, around 250 of them operating in the Greater Vancouver area. And that doesn't seem to have any slowdown in sight. In addition to that, as you well know, and it's happened over the last few years, last decade, there are more tower cranes, multiple tower cranes on smaller footprints, smaller sites. And so it's very common to see at least two cranes on every construction site. And a tower crane is sort of a fixture on any construction site almost anymore. And so they're everywhere. And you know that, and I know that, and there's a lot of cranes. From the public's perspective, in the public eye, tower cranes, I think, in my own opinion, they have a certain mystique. They have a certain fascination with tower cranes. The public, who don't necessarily understand how these mechanical monsters work, they capture the attention, though, of the public, especially as I drove in early this morning, this time of the year. All the cranes are being decorated in beautiful lights. Even more so do they command people's attention. And you see people either sitting at stoplights looking up and looking at the tower cranes, or as they walk the streets, they look at the tower cranes, and they ask questions of themselves. They ask things like, how do these cranes actually stay up on that little wee sort of spindle that they sit on? How are they anchored? How do they stay in the ground? How come they don't tip over? What prevents them from hitting each other when you have them on a number of cranes on multiple sites and they're swinging around like this? What prevents them from contacting or hitting each other? How does the guy get up there? Big question. Nobody really knows. Is there somebody really sitting up there? We can't see him or her, but they're up there, we know that, and they're making it operate, but how do they get up there? And the question that everybody asks as well is, where do they go to the bathroom, right? It's always the one that comes up. And there you go. And so I say that just to put it in perspective, because the public are in awe with respect to tower cranes. They question and have lots of questions, but I know that all of you in the room have all those answers. All of you in the room know the answers to those questions, and you have expertise in tower cranes. You know that tower cranes are complex pieces of equipment. You know the mechanical, the electrical, the structural, the hydraulic workings of tower cranes. You know the safe work procedures, the protocols that are appropriate for erection, for dismantling, for transport, for operation, and for regular maintenance. These things and this knowledge is critical, very critical, to keeping tower cranes safe. And it's a continuous improvement of those protocols and procedures that you need to continue to evolve and ask questions of yourselves so that you make those things even better than they were in previous weeks, months, years. Continuous improvement to those best practices, working with others, not just doing it on your own, so that we ensure that tower cranes from all of those perspectives are in good working order and operated safely. And so that's really why you're here. It's here so that you can share ideas. Here you can learn a little more. You can share best practices, and you can support, certainly, the safe and efficient operation of tower cranes. We all know that typically, when something goes wrong with a tower crane, when something goes sideways, it tends to go horribly wrong, and the outcomes are often catastrophic. We've seen this in other cities, in other parts of North America. You're going to be speaking a little bit about this on the horrific incident that occurred in Seattle months ago. We don't want that to happen here. Let me emphasize that. We do not want that to happen here. And you are the people in the room, you people in the room are the people that can ensure we have that outcome. So we remind ourselves, and I'm not pointing the finger because all of us are a part of this, we remind ourselves to stay focused, to stay vigilant, to stay diligent, to take the time to make the effort, and to hold safety as the highest priority when it comes to the work that we do. In today's world, safety is not about correcting failures. And we've done that in the past. Something's broken, something's gone sideways, something's gone wrong, and we have corrected that failure. And that's a good thing to do, but in today's world, let me tell you, it's not about correcting failures. The mindset needs to be about establishing sustainable defenses, establishing protocols and practices that are proactive in nature to correct the failure or the potential failure before it occurs. If we can do that every time, we are truly successful. In closing, I just want to thank Fraser and his team at the BC Crane Association for BC Association of Crane Safety. Always get that wrong. BC Crane Safety, that's what I say. But I'd like to thank Fraser and his team for working with WorkSafeBC to make this conference happen. Most importantly, I'd like to thank everybody who's taken time out of their busy days to be here. You're in a tight room, we know that, and I really want to thank you for taking the time to be here, to share your ideas, share your expertise, attending and participating. And together, we want to keep BC Crane safe. Enjoy your day. Thanks very much.